Alright guys, it is Tuesday stream again. This time there's nothing really that crazy, it's just some cards that they're announcing. I think the biggest thing that they're announcing is that there is effect triggers, so it looks like they're starting off small, but you know, they're adding things that we kind of want. And let's just talk about it. This is basically what the effect triggers are. They're all one for each nation. They're on the front trigger, which is the least kind of, well, I think people still use fronts, but like, you know, you prefer crits first then fronts, and I think there's like a good amount of people who still like draws because draws draw cards. But they're putting this effect where on the Guardian Circle, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets shield plus 5k. So this is addressing the fact that a lot of us are really asking for more shield. And I guess because they are able to print more shield, they can print a bit more cards that have a bit more power associated with them. But now we have 20k shields again. And they're on a front, so it's encouraging you to use fronts rather than like you know, it's encouraging you to make the choice. Run fronts for the extra defense. That will kind of lower your offense, kind of, because crits are just better. Or you know, just don't use them, right? And it's similar to how like Bushiroad kind of forced us to use stands back then, because stand effects got really good compared to before. Alright, so yeah, this is the Dragon Empire one. Looks pretty good. I actually do like the art for this. It's really nice. I think this is probably the best looking one out of every single one. The next one we have is the Dark States one. This is alright too. It's the same effect. They're all the same effect. And then this is the Brandt Gate one. This one's just kind of a bit lame, right? It's just a dragon. I think we all know about dragons. But the next one we have is, this is the Keta Sanctuary. So like a lot of them are all just females, right? Except for the dragon. It could be a female dragon. We never know. Yeah, this one looks really good. Actually, let's go look at the thick thighs, right? Thick thighs. Very nice, very nice. And yes, it's Keta. And lastly, we have this dead ghost. It's Frenzied Harris. Frenzied Harris. And she's dead. Actually, what are the names? So this one's Frenzied Harris. This is Bard of Heavenly Song Alpac. And then this one is Cardinal Draco Impero, so I don't know. I can't tell the gender for that. And this one is Diablo's Girls Natalia. And the first one is, yeah, Blaze Maiden Parama. Right, so those are the new effect triggers. It's good to see Bushiroad kind of extending into this space. At first we were like, oh my god, is this an effect trigger? But it was actually just reminder text for the start deck. But now they're actually printing the effect trigger. And, you know, of course it's a very simple effect. But from here on out, we might see more. It's just the second set, right? It's just the second set, so none of the effects have to be complicated yet. And but it's just a good start. Now onto actual real cards. We have Wild Intelligence. So this is for Stoichea. It's an order. Play this with cost counterblast 1. So you can see it's a grade 0, right? Discard 3 cards from the top of your deck. Choose up to 1 card with the same grade as your Vanguard or lower from your drop and call it to the Vanguard circle. If your Vanguard is Silverhorn Beast King Magnolia, choose up to 2 cards instead of 1. So this is pretty good. You can use this in both Zorga and Magnolia, but of course it's intended to be used in Magnolia because you get a plus 1 rather than just a 1 for 1. But you know, this is addressing the fact that Magnolia doesn't have like a good plussing engine, so you can run this, which can, you know, net you 2 cards on the field and make a good body, right? The other thing is that you just have to be careful about the counterblast of this, because, you know, Magnolia does use a bit of counterblast when it wants to go aggressive. But I think this is a great inclusion to the deck. I think is this in like, you have to choose this or like the Spirit Body Condensation, right? But the plus thing about Spiritual Body Condensation is the Soul Blast rather than Counterblast. So it's using the resource that I think you use less of. But when we think about Magnolia as well, a lot of them are running the Zorga ride chain just to add more cards to hand. This is an order, so it works with that Zorga ride chain like very well. It's got good synergy, so I can like see just the Zorga ride chain for Magnolia just being used more often now when we have this card. It's actually insane, really good. All right, and then next we have is Silverhorn Beast Domain Naru. Auto, when this unit is placed on the Vanguard circle, if your Vanguard is Silverhorn Beast Magnolia, cost Soul Blast 1, choose one of your Reguards, and until the end of turn, that unit can attack from the back row and gets power plus 5,000. And the second effect is Auto Vanguard circle once per turn. When this unit is chosen by your Vanguard's effect, this gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. So if we think about this in the context of Magnolia, the second effect will basically just mean, like, you know, when it uses its attack from back row ability, this gets like this becomes a 20k attacker, pretty much. But the first effect is actually very, very important for Magnolia because it allows you to be aggressive on the turns that you don't have Persona Ride, especially the first grade 3 turn where you ride up, you can't activate Persona Ride, so you don't get the max back row attack, but this will still allow you to get something like 5 attacks. If you have 2 of them, of course. And on just the first grade 3, right? 2 of them in the front, and you can just kind of make your back rows attack from the back, and that's some decent pressure. Or otherwise, it basically, the big thing, it fills in the gaps, right? It fills in the gaps. So like, let's say you didn't draw Persona Ride, but your opponent's at high damage, you can just kind of force your way to multiple attacks. And keep in mind that this doesn't require you to be played from hand or anything. It just needs to be placed on the rearguard circle, so you can. It will just pop off whenever you like. If you use the previous order, right? You use this one, and you call 2 of them, then it works. You can use this effect twice, and again, max attacks, right? Max attacks. So I think this is a great inclusion in Magnolia. Currently, it just has that weakness where, you know, if you don't Persona Ride, you don't do anything. But this kind of helps fix that, where you still do things when you do a Persona Ride. I mean, it actually does, like, Magnolia actually does do things when even if it doesn't Persona Ride, because you still have the counterblast 1 and attack from back row, but this adds that more pressure to it, which is really, really nice. So I think these are pretty amazing cards for Magnolia. And then next, lastly, we have some Brandt Gate cards. This one is Aurora Battle Princess Derry Violet. This is support for the prison engine. So auto, when this unit is put on the Guardian Circle, if one or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned in your prison, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your units, and it cannot be hit by a grade 2 or lower unit's attack until the end of that battle. So this is actually pretty interesting. Keep in mind this effect does work when you intercept with it, because it uses put rather than placed. So anytime it appears in your guarding circle, you can use its effect, and it's basically a null guard against grade 2 or lower units as long as you have a card in your prison. Now that can be kind of hard, because if your opponent getting, like, you know, calls everything out of your prison, then you're in trouble. But right now, at least like in Festival Collection and going into set 2 of Overdress, it looks like we have a lot more options to grab things into the prison and kind of just force your opponent not to be able to call everything out, which enables a lot more of the prison engine to go. And this is probably a really, really good card, because, you know, just extra null guards for a Soul Blast is not a bad trade. It's just actually not a bad trade. The thing is, though, against like a Bastion deck, this card is absolutely useless. So I guess you still have to balance that to where, like, how many of this do you want? Maybe like 2, since Bastion is so popular, and then you'd win some of the matchups, and, you know, in like the Bastion match, you just throw it away, like that, right? So this is a really, really good support for prison, in my opinion. Second one is Aurora Battle Princess Perio Turquoise. Continue Regar Circle. During your turn, if 2 or more of your opponent's cards are imprisoned in your prison, this unit gets power plus 5,000. That's pretty generic. And then the second effect is auto on the front row Reguard Circle. When your opponent's card imprisoned in your prison is placed on the Reguard Circle, that unit gets power minus 5,000 until the end of turn. So this is also a pretty amazing card, right? Because right now we have the issue with prison where you imprison all their stuff, and they call it out, and nothing happens. Right? Nothing happens. Or if they get benefited, because, like, you know, they imprison like a come into play effect, and if you really need to build your prison up the turn before, then they come out again, they can use their... So that is kind of detriment. There currently is no detriment to calling things out of your prison, except for the fact that you needed to pay for it, right? You need to Soul Blast or Counter Blast for it to be able to call it out. Otherwise, it actually kind of negs the prison player, because then the defensive options don't work unless there's just been so many things in that prison that they couldn't call out, right? This is actually changes that. If you put on the front row circle and they don't have removal, they don't really have a good way to like do anything about it. They actually have to actively attack into it to get rid of it. So something like a Magnolia, right? They don't have the resources to like manage everything, call things from a prison, as well as being aggressive. But when they do, when they want their key pieces back, they actually lose power. So you're actually getting punished for freeing things from your prison. So, you know, life is not free, and this card kind of embodies it. So this is really some really nice prison buff, and I guess like Magnolia is kind of in a weird place right now in set 1, but, you know, these reveals are definitely showing that, you know, Magnolia is really getting to be really good. So I think overall set 2 has released a lot of crazy new effects, and I think the trend is continuing. So this is good to see. Good to see. Hope you guys like this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.